Pillow Exorcist could not make a Good Boy podcast without the good boy. Hey, Wally. Hello, everybody. He will definitely not stay long because he likes to dance around and move around and he can't really stay still. I just wanted him to come say hello to everybody. This is our good boy, Wally.
Oh, it's delicious. It doesn't smell like licorice?
Oh, God, it's awful.
It's fennel. And it's not even related to licorice at all. It's a plant, but it's not even closely related to licorice.
It smells horrible. So, yes, as you can see, I have Ryan back on the podcast today, and we have worn some very special shirts for you today. I have my certified emotional support human shirt, and he has his, oh, you can't really see it, but it says Greyhound Dad. Yeah.
She never does this, ever.
She
She does
doesn't?
not ever bring me beer.
All right, well, Exorcist, we're here to talk about Good Boy, and me and Ryan might be the only people who have seen this movie. And so I was like, okay, well, we saw that it was trending online, that everyone was Googling, does the dog die? And we saw how much buzz this movie was generating. And everybody is very excited about seeing Good Boy because it's a very unique movie, one of its kind, a horror movie from the point of view of a dog.
Well, how did we see it and everyone else didn't? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jamie and I, we live in New Orleans, and every year New Orleans has an Overlook Film Festival. And there's a theater in town. It's a locally owned theater, and actually we're buddies with one of the folks who own the theater. There's two. There's one uptown and there's one in the French Quarter, and it's called the Britannia Theater.
We love the Britannia.
Yeah, super shout out to Britannia Theater. It's very comfortable, and there's a piano there, but nobody's playing it. But it plays. It's like the ghost is playing.
Spooky.
So yeah, the Overlook Film Festival comes here every year, and all those independent horror films that are either will be released that coming year or maybe even like a following year, they will play them at the Overlook Film Festival. And there's a bunch of different ticket package options. This past year, we purchased 2 tickets to single movies. One of the 2 movies that we purchased tickets to was Good Boy. So we were able to see it. How long ago was this?
God, I think this was February or March.
This was, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was the end of February, right around Mardi Gras season.
Yeah, so we saw this movie
Long time ago.
So, well, before we talk more about our experience of seeing Good Boy at the Overlook Film Festival, we saw some awesome movies at the Overlook Film Festival. We saw Ugly Stepsister, which to this day, that is still my number one movie of 2025. Everyone who has seen it that I know of loves it. We saw Waka, which is my number 3 horror movie of the year. I loved it. It's a folktale, Irish folktale horror. And there was some other movies that were playing at the Overlook. Clown in the Cornfield was there. Ash, Abraham's Children, a few other movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of movies that have kind of slowly trickled out throughout the year. But we saw Ugly Stepsister, Waka, and Good Boy. And the cool thing about seeing movies at the Overlook Film Festival, and we got to do this for both the Ugly Stepsister and Good Boy, was we got commentary from the directors. So the directors were there to talk about this movie. And let me just say before we go any further, if you came here just to find out if the dog dies and you don't want any spoilers, if you don't want any spoilers, go ahead and stop this, skip ahead a little while. But if you came here just to find out if the dog dies, here it comes. The dog does not die. The dog does not die. The dog does not get injured. He doesn't go through any kind of traumas. He isn't injured.
He went through a little trauma, psychological trauma.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of spooky because some of the things that the dog saw.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like being scared,
he probably needs a little dog therapy.
The dog was playing at being scared, but like, I mean, he wasn't injured. There wasn't like animal abuse. Okay, we haven't seen this movie since February or March, and obviously this movie gaining the popularity that it has in anticipation of it coming, it was supposed to go straight to Shudder. But because of the buzz that this movie's been generating, they've decided to release it straight to the theaters first. And it's going to be in theaters on October 3rd. And so obviously we haven't seen it again. So we saw it months ago. So we may not get all the details, right?
A long time ago, yes.
We may miss some things and not get all the
For
details right.
people our age, months ago translates to years ago.
Speak for yourself, Ryan. Speak for yourself. But so I think like the worst things I can think that happens to the dog is there's one point where he gets chained up outside because his owner gets possessed in a way. And so the whole point of the movie is the dog is looking out, protecting his owner. And so the owner slowly kind of gets possessed throughout the movie. And so the dog ends up chained for a few minutes outside. And then there's another scene where like a ghost grabs the dog and, and pulls him underneath the bed, which was probably the biggest jump scare
That was, yeah.
of the movie. Yeah. So, but that's about it. As far as like scenes where the dog, is in a other than just generally it being a haunted house, being kind of scared and creeped out the whole movie.
So the movie took over 3 years to make. Do you remember that
Well,
commentary?
yeah, so that's what I wanted to go into. So I think it's interesting because we have a little bit behind the scenes knowledge of making the movie. Here's the thing that I so much admired about hearing from the director. So first of all, the star of Good Boy is Indy, and Indy is actually Indy the dog, and Indy is actually the dog of Ben, who is the director of Good Boy.
He's the director, the creator, the writer, film,
This is his movie.
like, dude did everything for this movie.
Yeah.
And he had help, but he did practically everything for this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point, someone in the audience asked him how much the budget was for the movie, and he wouldn't say. I don't know if it was either nothing or too much, or I don't know.
Kibbles and bits.
Kibbles and bits, yeah. Whatever it was to keep the dog fed. So, yeah, well, Ben, the director, and so that's his dog, Indy. But like Ron said, it took years to make this movie. 5 years, but yes, 3 years.
It may have been 5,
But
but
you're right. I mean, 3 years sounds more reasonable. But the reason that was, and this is why I think that this is my favorite part about the movie, knowing this as someone who loves animals and loves dogs and generally doesn't like the idea of animals being used as
actors.
actor exploitation, right? Animals can't consent. So they basically made the movie around the dog. So if the director had some vision for how he wanted a scene to go, and Indy wouldn't follow commands, or if Indy was just tired and just wouldn't do it, or Indy walked off, they just wouldn't shoot the scene. And the director talked about having to rewrite, rework, reshoot a bunch of the movie because Indy just working around what Indy would and wouldn't do.
So another fact is when they started this movie, Indy was a young actor.
But yeah,
Indy was like a 2-year-old dog actor, which translates to maybe like a teenage kid.
yeah, like a
And then when
preteen.
they finished the movie, the dog was more like 5, 6 years old, so more mature,
He's like
in
your age.
in my age, yeah, and it but of course,
He probably needed more naps.
yeah, so probably he went from, like, low attention span to tired all the time, needing more naps and treats.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point because 3 years for a dog. I mean, 3 years in human life is. I mean, yeah, sure, whatever. It's not that much time, but for a dog, that's
Yeah.
especially for a dog, a larger dog. That's like a third. That could be a third or fourth of their life. So that's the really cool part, I think, is that they worked around Indy and they didn't force him to do anything he wanted to do, and so they had to rework the movie to do whatever Indy wanted to do.
I do remember him saying exactly what she said, that he would work around Indy's schedule. Indy wasn't feeling well,
Yeah,
or if it just wasn't the time to shoot. The weather was a factor, just everything revolves basically around the dog's schedule,
right.
dog's trainability.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool. Now, as far as the movie, I will say, we went into this movie with being dog lovers, clearly. We were so excited. I was excited because and this is why I think this movie's generating so much excitement, is because everybody loves dogs. Dogs are better than humans, and we all love our furry friends. Dogs are so good. Pets in general, dogs are so good for mental health, which I'm going to talk more about that later, of course. And so we were excited, and just the whole idea of having a movie shot from the point of view of a dog, I think this was really the first time this has been done. And so we were jazzed, but I got to say, we left pretty disappointed.
We left disappointed only because the storyline is nothing new that you're gonna find in the horror genre. Like, this story, the script, this is something that has been done already, so it's not original. What is original is the main character being a pet, and the brilliance of the movie is the fact that the main character is a pet, it is a dog, and they were able to, it took 3 to 5 years to do the movie, but I think that's kind of the brilliance of it, is just having the dog do the perfect thing for that perfect moment and just kind of work through that process. But as far as the story and like the meat of the movie, that's where it kind of fell just a little bit short of being like a a 5-star movie.
Well, for me, I gave it 3 stars, and it keeps falling. I mean, as I see more 2025 horror movies, it keeps falling and falling and falling and falling further off my I mean, I've seen, like I think I've seen 35 2025 horror movies at this point, and I think it's, like, number 18 or 20 at this point. The movie just keeps falling as I see more movies. And so, yeah, to me, the thing that makes this movie special is it's the point of view of a dog, but then that's it. That's it. I mean, the movie it has a lot of things about it I didn't maybe I dislike it for different reasons from Ryan. I didn't like it because it does a lot of over-explaining up front about the story, and I don't exactly remember, but I remember thinking, "Oh my god, come on, get on with it." Like, they're just over-explaining this haunted house situation and, like, the family member that used to live there, and I'm just like, "Okay, you're doing that thing where you don't trust the audience to get it." Okay, like, I don't really like that, and then the movie is so slow for probably 75% of it. It really is just a lot of Indy looking in the corner, and it's like Indy kinda flinching, and which is cool, but, like, it's like it overly depended on. Indy deserves an Oscar because he carried that movie.
Yeah.
And then the ending, I will say, I did love the ending was okay. It was weird. I'm not even sure I fully understood it. Basically, the owner gets semi-possessed by, like, the ghost or the evil presence that's in the house, and this whole time, Indy's basically trying to warn him, trying to protect him.
Listen to your pets.
Yeah, listen to your pets. When your
Listen to your
pets are looking
damn
in
pets.
your pets are looking in dark corners or your
Yeah.
pet starts barking in the middle of the night, we got a story
Mhm.
about that. We're gonna tell you about that. Listen to them. But then it turns out that there's some portal to hell that's in the house, and then Indy's owner gets possessed, gets sucked into this portal, and at the very end of the movie, you don't know if Indy's alive or not, but then Indy goes walking up some stairs and meets who was his owner's sister, I guess. And so, the dog is okay, his owner's not okay. And so, but Indy's gonna be okay. But yeah, I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it, but I just
I think part of the reason why the movie and her list of movies that she has. What are you keeping a record on this? And what's the app?
Letterboxd.
Letterbox. Yeah. Uh, First of all, this year for horror has been like blockbuster. I don't know if there's been a better year in recent history for horror movies. So they're coming out with a lot of good stuff. So that keeps loading up the top half of her list, and movies like this are kind of starting to fall a little bit to the side.
What about your list? What's your favorite movie this year? Go.
Sinners, Sinners, pretty easy. Like probably 50% of the horror communities.
Next movie. Go.
Ugly Stepsister,
Ne
but Good Boy probably a little lower. And I don't even know if it is a horror movie because there's the big supernatural ghosts, evil in the house element, but it's not super scary. Jamie said she had a jump moment. I think she may have been one of the only people in the theater that jumped for that moment.
I'm a little jumpy
It
in
was
the
sh
theater because
Yeah,
sounds kind of
sounds,
startle me
yeah.
sometimes.
So it's not super, super spooky. Eh
Look at this is the poster that they're using for Good Boy now, which was not the poster that they had
Yeah,
whenever.
yeah, that's different.
Yeah, I'll post this on my social media because this was not the poster that they were using, I don't think, when they were advertising the movie when we saw it, which makes it look super sinister. So this is why people are like, "Hell no, I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
see this,"
Uh,
because it looks like the dog's in peril.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That does look something like if you were just walking through the movie hallway and you look at all the posters that are on the walls of movies coming soon, and you saw this poster of Good Boy, you'd probably wanna go see good boy.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing's great, I mean, if you it definitely does look like the dog's in peril, but so I get it. But, whatever, everyone, if you've made it this far, you've totally spoiled the movie, you should go see it, decide for yourself anyway, just go support indie.
Yeah, go support Indy. Maybe he could afford something like Royal Canine and not Kibbles and Bits anymore. If you go watch his movie, you'll fall in love with the dog. Of course, I think it's a Australian sheepdog. Is that right?
No, Indy is a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, there you go.
he looks like a kind of like a golden retriever.
I guess. I don't.
Why should people feed their dogs Royal Canin instead of Kibbles and Bits, Ryan? This is a Okay, hang on. You know what? Back up for a second. Here's something the audience that is listening does not know about me because I have never mentioned on this podcast before. Between the times, what's that funny face?
I don't know where this is heading, but I have an idea.
Whenever I started school and I retired from engineering temporarily, I wanted to get, and I was in my master's program. I wanted to have a job where I was making some kind of income and had something to do, but also I was like tired. My brain was tired. I didn't want to have to do a whole bunch of like heavy lifting with my brain because I wanted to devote my time to school and really focus on that. And I love animals so much. We had a dog sitting business during the pandemic when we lived in Washington State. Actually, so we were on like Rover, what was it called? Rover.com or
Rover, stay
yeah,
over.
Rover Stay Over. And so because like we started pet sitting like our friends' dogs, and we had this trail that ran behind our house and a nice backyard. And so we had a dog park right down the road from our house when we lived in Washington State.
I'll give a shout out to some of the dogs that we set.
Oh my God.
Brody, Nico, Atlas, Billy, Big Nico,
Big Nico, little Nico.
and what was our friend's dog? The poodle.
Jasper.
No.
Was it Jasper?
Oh, it might have been. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were pet sitting all our friends' dogs and exchanging pet sitting with, whenever we needed to go out of town with our dogs. But then we just started monetizing it. So we got on Rover.
It was Sadie.
Sadie, I don't know what.
Sadie.
Jasper, there was a Jasper. Remember, it was Sadie's twin that we thought actually might have been hers
Okay, yeah,
because we
you're right.
thought maybe they got them from the same breeder.
You're right.
Okay. Also have a background and I've been volunteering with animals for decades now. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to find a job maybe where I can actually like make money working with animals. And so I found a job at a vet clinic in their kennels. I was like, I'm going to use my engineering degree to work in a kennel. So for minimum wage, basically. I'm not lying. I don't know. This is probably this is on the top list of probably craziest things I've ever done. And so I don't know how to explain it, y'all. I just did not want a job where I had to use my brain. And I just wanted to hang out with animals all day. And so this is like a way I found that I could get paid. And so I started working at Magazine Street Animal Clinic. Woohoo! Shout out, guys.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore. Now it's East Riverside Veterinary Hospital.
Which still exists, but
yeah,
different ownership.
Yes. And so I worked in the kennels for a couple weeks. And because I can't resist, they asked me, hey, do you want to start learning how to do some other things other than walking the dogs and, cleaning up
Picking up their
kennels?
poop.
Yeah, which is fine. It was fun. Giving baths. I loved it. I was like, yeah, sure. Next thing you know, a couple months later, I'm like I don't even remember what they called it now, like the treatment lead. And I'm
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy. And so
Yeah.
I'm filling prescriptions for dogs. I'm doing blood draws. I'm setting IV catheters. I'm the lead tech who's managing phone calls for owners. The liaison between the doctors and the owners. And like, it was crazy. I was like, I did not sign up for this, but I also could have said no, but I can't resist because that's just my personality. I can't.
She's a yes woman.
I can't resist learning something new, and I can't resist. I don't know. So I did that for 3 years, and I gotta say, I got pretty fucking good at it. Like, I could set an IV catheter on a little tiny dog, draw some blood, give medications. I could wrangle some spicy cats. I did get sent to the ER twice, getting bit by a cat, but handling spicy cats is a whole skill set by itself. Making some burritos, giving shots, giving vaccines. I mean, like, I give my own dog shots now that she needs. Speaking of, I just heard feet. Oh, our little guy just came in. stepson, Ryan? That's his favorite activity. He loves looking out a window. He loves looking out a window, don't you, Mr. Man? Anyways, so yeah, I did that for 3 years and I loved it, but it was hard work. Man, veterinaries and I gotta say in the state of Lou it's different from state to state. In the state of Louisiana, veterinary technicians don't need to have any kind of special training, just like on the job, just like me. So I went from off the street to setting catheters and drawing blood, but it's different in other states as far as scope of work that people can do. And so now I'm volunteering for a group here in town called the Inner Pup that is solely focused on heartworm eradication. And so I'm still using my vet tech skills to do blood draws for dogs to test for heartworm disease and sometimes even giving shots. So I'm still using those vet tech skills that I learned. So I made a little foray into vet medicine for 3 years. And so why did I bring that up?
Because we're talking about what do we feed our dog?
What do we feed our dogs, Ryan? Why do we feed our dogs Science Diet and Royal Canin? This is a little quiz.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
So here's a couple tidbits of information that I found out when I was working in veterinary medicine is there is only, I think, 3 brands of dog food that has been empirically researched for the health of animals over decades. That's Royal Canin, Science Diet, Purina, and it might be one more.
Old Roy?
No, no.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and so those have been studied for decades, and it has the full nutritional profile for dogs. And if you ask your veterinarian, they will tell you like don't feed your animal anything else because you're going to risk them not having a full nutritional profile. And so that's why Ryan said, maybe we can stop eating kibbles and bits.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we first got Bing, which was back in 2018, in Bellingham, Washington, of course, she was a greyhound coming from the track life and then went straight from the track life to an adoption facility. And then she was transported from Florida all the way across the country to Washington. She'd never been house trained, but at the same time, trying to break herself into a new house, we were feeding her stuff that she wasn't used either not used to eating or that she just couldn't tolerate. Maybe she had some kind of allergic and intolerance to this type of kibble that we were feeding her. So back in that 2018 era, we both had full-time jobs where I was going to work, getting to work earlier, but then coming back home, before she got back home. So every single day when we first got Bing, um, feeding her this kibble, she was shitting all over the place. So it was a combination of getting her house trained and switching to a food that at that time was perfect for her and for our smaller dog, Wally. So feeding her the right food and training her in the house helped keep her in our house because I was about to kick her ass out.
Yeah, because Ryan was the one who was coming home to the poop and pee, and that kind of stuff doesn't bother me, but it was Ryan was he was up to here with it. So yeah, feeding your dog a high quality diet is gonna link to their long term longevity, and it's gonna be those brands. And if nothing else, here's something that I learned. Another thing, I mean, I learned so much working in veterinary medicine, but here's another thing that I learned the grain-free fad diets out there is the literal last thing that you want to feed your dog because I cannot tell y'all how many cases I saw of dogs coming in with DCM, dilated cardiomyopathy. I'm probably not saying that right, but it's DCM, which has a direct link to grain-free diets. And so I don't know what possessed the dog food makers, about a decade ago to like grain free, but it's 100% just a marketing gimmick. It's just a marketing gimmick. There's important things in grains. I think there's amino acid or something in there that's directly missing whenever you remove grains. And it is a direct link to heart disease in dogs. So, if you can't afford to feed your dog the veterinary approved long term research diets, at least give your dog a diet that is not grain free because the grain free diets have a high probability of leading to heart problems. And I saw it for myself. So, yeah.
Okay, well, let's transition from talking about dog diet to our dog.
look, right on time.
Well, that's not the dog I was talking
Oh,
about.
look, step aside.
This is my beer catcher.
Hi. So this is the Greyhound Dad shirt that I got him, but tell them why I have a shirt that says certified emotional support human.
Okay, so Bing has a lot of feelings, as most greyhounds do. One thing that she does from time to time is when somebody walks out of the house, even if another human is in the house, one human walks out the door, one human's still in there with her, she will whine and whine until she just gets bored of whining, and then she'll go lay down and she'll be sad for the next hour. But when no humans are around, she's an absolute mess. She is a hot mess, and she doesn't know what to do with herself, basically. So, a couple things that she'll do. One thing, she hasn't done this in a while, but she'll pee. She'll pee in the house. And this, since we moved here to New Orleans, she's only had one accident. And it was just kind of one of those little temper tantrum things where we were both gone and she just was so upset. The other thing that she does, and this is half on us, half on her, is she will go into our guest bathroom if we leave it unlocked, and whatever's in that trash, she'll dig it out and she'll scatter it all over the bottom for our downstairs floor. She will put it some in the kitchen, some in my office, and some in the living room. She'll just have trash all over the place.
That's her way of heckin' protesting. Yeah, so Bing has big feelings, and so that's why I'm her emotional support human, which is kind of a joke on, more emotional support animals. The animals are supposed to be emotionally supportive of humans, but instead it's kind of the other way around with her because she has big feelings and she needs lots of support. And she does not like not knowing where her humans are. She doesn't like when we leave. I mean, she gets really temperamental, which is pretty normal for greyhounds because she came from a track, like Ryan said earlier. And greyhounds are very social animals. They're used to living with lots of other dogs. They're trainers. There's people around all the time. And so they're just not used to being by themselves.
So all the more reason to respect the movie Good Boy is the director creator, the patience that it took for him to work with his dog over all those years of making the movie, and the dedication of the dog to participate in the movie as the lead role. Imagine, if you will, me being the director, creator, and trying to get this right here, or even Wally, like having to get them to participate in a 3 to 5 year movie making session.
Well, first of all, you don't have a bit of patience. Second of all, Bing's not the brightest bulb in the lamp, so
Yeah.
I just don't think that's the right combination. Yeah, so we've had Bing. Bing will be 11 this year. We got her from a track. We think greyhound racing is abusive, so it's been banned almost everywhere except for Alabama and like
Iowa,
Idaho.
Oregon.
Like, yeah, there's a couple states, mostly because they're just used to make their owners money, and when they're done, they've reached their maximum potential for money making. They literally throw them away. They give them to dog rest. They give them to animal rescues, or if they'll have a terrible accident on the track and they'll just euthanize them. So it's a shame that it's exploitation. So Bing was a track dog. One of the biggest questions that we get is, well, two questions that we get often is, well, first of all, is that a greyhound? We get that all the time. Is that a greyhound? Yes, because
She, and she.
she is a greyhound. Mostly because people don't see greyhounds very often, and so people see us walking her, they're just fascinated. Which I agree. She's like a little alien.
I
She's
get, is that a whippet or a greyhound? I get that a lot.
yeah, I get that a lot too. And second question we get is, does she have a lot of energy? Does she need to run? And the answer is no. They have the nickname of a 5 mile per hour couch potato. So greyhounds are the second fastest land animals next to a cheetah. So they can run incredibly fast, but they don't have to. And so she sleeps probably 23 hours a day.
That's correct.
Now she will do zoomies.
She will do a zoomie for maybe 2 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe 5 minutes. But other than they're very low energy dogs. If you want a dog that's just going to sit with you on the couch and not bark at all and just chill with you. And for like, she uses Bing as a footrest and a foot warmer. That if that's what you're looking for, then a greyhound is what you need.
Look, if you want a dog that's just gonna exist in your space,
Yeah.
that's a greyhound. She's not very affectionate, she's not.
She won't like intrude in your bubble
Yeah,
ever.
she's not affectionate, she's not, but she's not high maintenance either. Her health is a little bit high maintenance, but, when it comes, she's very arthritic, and she's on Prozac, and she's on lots of arthritis
Yeah.
medications. I think she's gonna have her toe,
Snipped.
I think we're gonna have to have a toe amputated at the end of this year because she's got a toe that she can't even put any weight on, but that's a result of of racing. I mean, she raced for 4 years, which is actually more than a lot of dogs do, but she had a pretty successful career. Her full racing name is JJ's Bada Bing. A third question I often get about Bing Bong, is she cold? So people that come over that have never seen her chatter are like, "Oh, she's cold," because, and I do have a video to insert of Bing Bong doing the chatters. Is it Happy Hound? You're roaching. Nubbies. Wow. Wow. That was such a good chatter. Yeah, that was such a good chatter. It's one of the best ones I've ever gotten on video. I know. Good girl. Good girl. So greyhounds do this really odd thing that I'm not sure if I've ever seen any other dogs do it, but they chatter, like, their teeth, it's almost like the Cenobite,
Yeah.
from Hellraiser, and it's a happy chatter. It is only when she's happy, like, she'll do it when I'm petting her or loving on her or telling her she's the bestest girl in the world,
Mhm.
and she'll chatter, and it's like her little teeth are vibrating. It's adorable. It's the cutest thing ever. I actually didn't know what it was the first time she did it, and then I just started seeing other videos of greyhounds online doing it, and it is the cutest freaking thing. I actually think she's doing it more now as she gets older.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanna say about Bing Bong? We could
What
talk about her dog all day.
comparing Good Boy to our dog. So if we were in a similar situation to the the co-star, the human, our dog, Bing or Wally, if they were putting off signals of a spirit that's living in our house, would you know? Would you think they're just being themselves that we've always known them to be? Or would you actually start buying into that there's a presence in the house?
Well, why don't we just tell them about the real life story that we have about that?
Okay.
So we were staying at an Airbnb, like bed and breakfast kind of place, and we were moving across country, and we had the dogs with us, and so we were having to find places that were dog friendly to stay, and so we found this bed and breakfast in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and it was, of course, like everything in Vicksburg, it was all Confederate themed and whatever, and so we were staying in this room. It was called the Dixie Room at this bed and breakfast place with the dogs. They were with us. And I don't know how we figured this out. I think maybe I checked in on Facebook or maybe even Googled the place we were staying, and it said an episode of Ghost Hunters came up. And so we watched it. And as we're watching this episode of Ghost Hunters, they said, yeah, we're here investigating this old Confederate bed and breakfast that used to be an army hospital where they would amputate limbs, and there's other people report strange happenings. And he said the most specific place where the activity happens is in the Dixie Room. And me and Ryan look at each other, we're like, "Oh my god!" Like
We are
we're
staying
literally
in the Dixie room.
we're literally watching this episode as we are sitting in the Dixie Room, and they talk about like a soldier. Sometimes people can see soldiers in a rocking chair. Sometimes they can hear like the moans of the
Yeah.
patients and stuff. And so go ahead, tell your version of what happened that night.
Well, the coolest thing about the Dixie room is it has a fireplace and a mantle and a rocking chair, like not a modern day rocking chair, like an old wooden rocking chair just sitting right next to the fireplace. Huge, fancy looking king size bed with the old wooden frame. And it was, I guess our first night there. Wally was just staring off into the fireplace. Like, at the rocking chair was just in front of the fireplace, so he was staring at the rocking chair into the fireplace, and he would not budge. We would call him, and we tried to like, he was it was almost like he was just possessed, or he was just mesmerized by what he's sensing, but he was just locked, and this went on for, what, 10 minutes?
A long time.
And he did it over and over, like, it was something that he did repeatedly because we were there for 2 nights. You forgot the one of the coolest parts of the story, but that was when we were in Vicksburg, and we were told by our apartment complex that we had signed a lease in New Orleans that Hurricane Ida just passed over, and by the way, your unit is damaged and you don't have a place to live, so you have to find somewhere else to live.
Yeah. And so we ended up, instead of getting a first floor apartment, which we had very much specifically done a lot of research so we could have a first floor apartment because we had 2 dogs, we ended up on a fourth floor apartment with no elevator. So for about a year, we had to walk up and down 4 flights of stairs
And
3 or 4 times a day.
yeah,
That was fun.
yeah,
Great times. So, but essentially we were living out the plot of Good Boy
yeah.
there for in that experience. And that was very creepy. Wally just like staring in that corner, and I don't know if we creeped ourselves out by watching that episode, and just everything that they said was just it was creepy.
To clarify, Wally was doing his stare into the fireplace. Then we looked up, was this, what's the story behind this bed and breakfast?
Oh, was that right?
Yes. So,
That's even creepier.
yeah.
That's even creepier in retrospect. Well, I know we talked about our bing bong a little bit. And by the way, if y'all are listening to this, I love animals so much. Shout out to all my friends' animals. So we got Zener Beaner, we got Otto, we got Geo, we got Sawyer Brown. God, all my friends and family's animals. We love y'all. And I just want, if y'all are listening to this podcast, please send me a picture or videos of your animals. Exorcistwithin@gmail.com. There's no V, it's just exorcistwithin@gmail.com. And I will put your pictures of your animals on my social media, because there's no such thing as too many animal photos. Please spam me with all your animal photos.
Yeah.
I
And
love it.
share supernatural animal
Oh,
stories.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, totally. If you send some sutra, maybe we'll do a Good Boy follow up after we see the movie again. We actually have a better memory of it, and we'll read some of your supernatural stories. So yeah, we'd love to hear from y'all, whoever y'all are. But yeah, so our Wally dog, Wally came to us, our little man, we actually had him DNA tested. He's mostly Pomeranian Chihuahua with a lot of other things mixed in. He's a total mutt man. I've had him since 2013. I adopted him. Actually, I had met Ryan, and Ryan helped me, kind of solidify that he would be a good.
This was like our fifth date, maybe.
Yeah. I was like, "I want a dog," and I was volunteering. I was at this volunteer event, and Ryan came
She
over.
asked, she asked me on our fifth date, "Can I have a dog?" And then I'm scratching my head. I'm like, "We've been on 5 dates. She's asking me if she can have a dog. I'm not gonna say
I
no."
don't know if that's how that
That's
happened.
exactly how that happened.
I'm not a ask for permission kinda gal.
You totally did. And she asked me, and she was like, "This is the only dog that's actually sitting in my lap, looking into my eyes, licking me on the face," and I saw it for myself.
Wally chose me. It was a
I saw it, yeah.
he chose me. I was volunteering with a animal rescue ARFLA and AR Animal Rescue Foundation of South Louisiana, I think it was called. That was when I was living in Lafayette at the time. And I had wanted a dog for a while. And I was volunteering at this event where they had all the dogs out, and Wally chose me. Yeah. And so this guy has been a gold star, 5-star companion for the past, oh my God, we've had him for 11 years,
He's
12
been
years. Oh,
been
we
a
12 years. We've
he's
had him for
yeah,
as long as we've been
he's
together.
been a good boy.
12 years. He has been the best boy. When I used to travel for work, he would come with me. One time, and he wouldn't bark because he's never been a barker. He's kind of a barker now, but his personality's changed in the last few years. He's become an ornery old man who yells at the kids to get off the lawn, basically. But he would stay in the hotel room whenever I would work and go out into the refineries. One time, the housekeepers would leave me notes sometimes. Sometimes they would say, "Oh, I came in and he was so sweet." One time they left me a note and said, "Sorry, I didn't make the bed. The dog wouldn't move," which was my favorite thing. But Wally is now, we don't know because he's a mutt and he was found.
On the streets.
Well,
Well, he was found. His name is Wally. If you had to guess where he was found with a name like Wally, just take the WAL. It's kind of a stretch, right?
no, it's not because they call it Wally World.
Oh, Wally World. There you go.
Yeah, Walmart. Well, our dog is named after Walmart, which is so embarrassing because the Waltons are scam artists or whatever.
My brother calls him the Walmart dog still
Yes,
to this day.
he's the Walmart dog. His adoption paper says he was found in Walmart. We don't know how literal that is. That's what it says. He was found in Walmart.
Funniest story ever, because if he really was found in Walmart, he is the most food obsessed dog I have ever met in my life. And he would do anything for food, whatever you have. It doesn't matter what it is: Doritos, carrots, cheese,
He says
anything.
Doritos and carrots and cheese.
That's what Jamie's mom would feed the dog.
We would drop Wally off
Yes.
with my mom before we go to we were passing through to go to, I don't know, somewhere in Florida. We would come back and pick him up and his belly would just be gigantic.
He'd
And
be like 10 pounds
oh my
heavier.
God, I swear to God. And that's what she said. Oh, we just fed him a few Doritos.
Yeah. If there's a place that he would be found and caught, it would be on the dog food aisle in Walmart. He was probably shopping for dog food, and that's where they caught him.
What's the movie with Natalie Portman where she was in Walmart? Where the Heart Is, year 2000. It's a comedy. It's not a horror, but Where the Heart Is. Yeah. So this is Wally and Natalie Portman and Where the Heart Is,
A connection.
So,
All right.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Wally is food motivated. He loves walks. He has so many health problems right now. He's got a heart defect. He's got a gallbladder defect. He's got a liver tumor. He's got a bad back that we're now massaging him every day. He's on so many medications, but he's a happy boy. His quality of life is good. We watch that every single day, but boy, I tell you, even looking back at old pictures of them, their faces are both white now. I don't know if I ever told y'all, but my gray hair is also real. I get that question a lot. I've never told that to the audience, but if you are watching the video versions of this podcast, my hair is 100% not dyed. And so I am getting white along with the dogs. And just watching, I don't know, sometimes I just look at them and their little gray faces and I just get sad thinking about the day that's going to come when they're not going to be with us anymore. So we just try to make them really happy and really comfortable and just spoil the shit out of them.
I think that being her separation anxiety is so intense that beyond the grave, she will still be with us.
Yes.
We will have a Nightmare Before Christmas dog
Yes.
just following us around.
I hope so. I love her so much. Well, since we're talking about our love for dogs, I thought maybe we could talk about some mental health themes when it comes to dog ownership. And maybe how it relates to us. So I'm sure anybody who's an animal owner and a dog owner knows this anecdotally. But and I also did a research paper on this in college and I won't recap all the things, but there's been so many studies done that do link animal assisted therapy to better outcomes for people with anxiety, people with trauma and depression and substance use and schizophrenia. And animal assisted therapies, I wish that there was more opportunities for that. If the first opportunity I ever get, I'm going to get into some animal assisted therapy. I had the wonderful opportunity to visit equine therapy place about an hour north here of Louisiana. Had the most wonderful time. So there are opportunities out there for direct therapy with animals that have been empirically proven to be beneficial for mental health and to assist the therapeutic process. And so there are ways to incorporate animals with the therapeutic process, but a part of that, there's so many mental health benefits to dog ownership. And so one of those categories is emotional regulation and stress relief. And so I have a stat here that says that petting a dog for just 10 minutes can significantly reduce the stress hormones like cortisol. And it's also good for the dogs. I've read things where it actually goes both ways. It not only you petting the dog, but you get the benefit of the increased oxytocin, the decrease in cortisol, basically a decrease in the stress hormone and an increase in the happiness hormones. It actually has the same effect for the dog too, so it's good for them as well. Keeps them calm, and of course, there's folks out there that have service animals, so it's really good for people who need some sort of grounding or need some sort of comfort, pretty much outside of the home. And so, service animals are becoming, I feel like, more popular these days. There's a reason why people consider their animals emotionally supportive. So, attachment and connection. Well, before I go on to that, what do you think about what is your personal experience? Well, what do you think about the way that our dogs maybe provide you emotional regulation and stress relief?
I think walking them in the morning, and this goes back to when walking them in New Orleans is not the same as walking them in Bellingham. I think
Bellingham is Washington State where we used to live, which had perfect weather all the time, basically.
yeah, except for the winter, might maybe a couple weeks of snow, but other than that, like, it was Bellingham was a very nature type friendly atmosphere, lots of trees, lots of plants, lots of smells, good smells, floral smells. Summertime, the weather was beautiful. So in the mornings before I go to work, I would walk both of them and just getting that in before I'd go kind of would do everything that this is saying, like lower stress levels and it would get your mind off of like stressors,
Yeah.
and you would just kind of zone into the walk and just being there with the dogs. And I do the same thing here in New Orleans, and it does this the same thing in effect, just not this the atmosphere is just a little different here in New Orleans. It's a little muggier in the morning, especially in the summertime. But the purpose of the walks for me is so you don't have to get up in the morning.
So let me just say the reason Ryan has been walking the dogs he's been walking the dogs exclusively for the past 6 months is because I don't get up early in the morning and he wants to walk the dogs before it gets too hot. And so he gets up early in the morning and he already has the dogs walked usually by the time I get up in the morning. So
Yeah, the mornings in the summertime here are already hot. So
yeah.
with our dogs being advanced age, it's the best thing for them just to have a early morning walk. But it's good for them and it's good for me because I could walk them, get the stress out, and then just I'll just go to work. I'll just start working from there. So yeah, I think walking the dogs is a big stress relief. I also think that just sitting with the dogs on the couch.
Yeah.
Like Wally, he doesn't do it as much anymore, but when he was like our couch dog, he would just kinda sit with us and
Yeah.
he would nestle up to your hip area, your leg,
Yeah.
and just watch a whole movie with you.
Wally has a hard time getting on the couch now because he's got some back pain, but we did get him some stairs, so he's come up on the couch a little bit more now that we're dealing with his back pain. But yeah, he definitely is not as cuddly as he used to be, which is really sad. But I think again, it's just kind of become his part of his new old man demeanor. It's like, oh, get off my lawn. Yeah. So that's all really good reasons. It kind of helps with that mindfulness, being in the present. It's so good for the dogs too because they get all this like stimulation by being outside the home, and then so just like we do have a backyard, and we could just let them out to go to the bathroom, but it gives them so much stimulation to be able to go out and see the squirrels and smell all the smells, and
Yeah,
it's good for everybody.
and I will say that Bing when we got Bing, she was not a walker. She was not a walker, didn't like didn't like it as much as Wally, so she would be there just to attend the walk because we were forcing her to be on that walk with us as a family. She was not a sniffer. She was just basically a follow she would follow you or she would kinda
She just didn't know how to be a
yeah,
pet,
she didn't know how
period.
yeah, exactly. She did not know how to be a pet. She did not know how to be a dog. But Wally, He's always sniffing something, whether it be a disgusting smell, another dog's pee, just anything on the walk that smells somewhat rancid or disgusting. Like he's all over it. And over time, he trained our other dog, Bing, to smell everything just like he does. So when he hones in on some kind of scent, she will also go to that scent as well. So both of them are enjoying walks now where they're both smelling the same smells. Now, it does make the walk quite a bit longer for me in the morning because they have to smell everything.
Well, I've had to give Ryan a little bit of a speech of like, it's okay, just let them, don't be in a hurry, just slow down. It's good for patience. Practice some
Goose
patience.
fraba, fraba.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting because dogs are good teachers. They teach us patience. They're good teachers of other animals. I mean, when we used to foster dogs, we just had Wally at the time, and he was so patient. Oh my goodness, he was so patient with the other dogs. He would cuddle with them. He would just go trot around the backyard with them. When we had our little dog sitting business, they were super patient and super tolerant of all the dogs. They really are angels. I
Yeah.
love them. Yeah, some other benefits of dog ownership, attachment and connection. So, as a therapist, I do a lot of attachment-based work. So, basically looking at people's attachment histories, and I've talked a little bit about this in the podcast of how they created secure attachments with their attachment figures growing up, how that translates into their attachment styles as adults. And sometimes people didn't have secure adults in their life as children or secure peers. Animals can serve as attachment figures. It doesn't even be animals, stuffed animals or like inanimate objects can be attachment figures. But animals can be extremely good attachment figures because they show unconditional love, they show patience and caring, and they just make really good attachment figures. And they will bond with their owners and they will securely attach back to certain individuals, sometimes multiple individuals. And then, yeah, the point about loneliness, just giving company. I know for me, that's a big thing. Is like I just love when Bing's sitting on the couch with me and put my feet on her just to know that she's there with me. It really makes me happy.
Also, I like to mention, speaking of our walks in the morning, we have two feral cats. We had five, and then we had one of the five had an accident, passed away, and then the colony kind of disbanded, and two stayed here at the house, and they're regulars. One's a female, one's a male. The male, first of all, our dogs before we moved here they hated cats.
They got attacked by a cat one
They
time.
hate yeah, they had a traumatic
I
experience.
was walking them one time, and some cat literally made a beeline. I'm talking like weapon style out of this lady's house, out the front door, and made a beeline to the dogs and just went crazy on them. And they didn't even fight back. They were just like, "What the fuck?" They didn't get hurt. Bing had a little scratch, but they didn't get hurt. It's a
Yeah.
crazy ass cat.
Yeah. So our dogs hate cats. They hate raccoons.
Used to,
They hate possums.
used to.
We have a cat, the male cat. We call him Garfield. He's an orange and white cat. He walks with us in the morning. He will follow us or meet us in the front. And this is not every day, but it's every other day or maybe 3 times a week. He will walk as far as we'll go.
It is the cutest fucking thing.
Eh,
Ryan has to be careful about where he walks so that he
Yeah.
doesn't take the cat into like a busy street on the days where Garfield walks with them.
Yes. And the thing is, the two dogs, our dogs that were once like haters of cats, they are totally indifferent. Like they don't even care.
Well, Garfield's part of our family. So, yeah, we have the two feral cats that permanently live in our backyard now. They don't let us pet them or touch them, but they hang out with us, Garfield and Pootie Tat. We feed them every day, give them water. Wally and Bing will try to chase them, but they've gotten really close to them before, like, "Actually, no, I just was like, this is fun in theory, but it's cool. Like, we're homies." So, yeah, we a cat I know we've been talking a lot about dogs, but this is all
Pet
dogs and this
related,
is
yeah.
pet related, right? Because we have cats too. And I gotta say, Ryan was never a cat person, and he was not too keen on feeding our cats whenever we first moved here. But now this guy does not miss a single day of feeding our cats, and he will sit on the porch and talk to the cats. He there's a reason why Garfield follows him around is because he's the cat dad now. This man who never liked cats is
Cat
now
daddy.
like he's the cat daddy. Yeah.
We have a cat house.
We do. We have a heated cat house for the winter. We at one point we don't have it now because we don't need it, but we had a automatic cat food feeder when we went to Switzerland for 2 weeks. Like just some very well taken care of feral cats that live in our backyard. We love them very much.
And they are spayed neutered.
Yes, they are. Yes, spay and neuter, guys. I'm gonna do it. Bob Barker. Spay and neuter your cats. So yeah, some of these other points are yeah, as far as like the mental health benefits of pet ownership is built-in motivation, improved sleep, healthy habits. That's all the stuff that you were talking about. I mean, you and the dogs and Garfield have a daily routine now, and you are in this routine, and it gives you structure, and that can be really good for people who need to learn healthy habits, need some structure in their life. I know you were talking about how good it is for you. And what happens if the dogs don't get their walk at a certain time, get their treats at a certain time, get their dinner at a certain time?
They will be up your ass
Yeah.
until it happens, nonstop,
Yeah.
like demanding. Bing will throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
She'll start kind of doing her
We call
booping.
it booping.
She'll boop you.
Take her long snoot and
Yeah.
you
It's time to do something.
yep, whether it's and so it's like having once you get them on a routine, like, "Oh, I don't feel like doing that right now." Well, guess what? You've got a built-in alarm clock. You've got a built-in motivator. They are not gonna let us forget. So, yeah, absolutely. Great for motivation, great for physical exercise, getting them out in there on that walks. And then social engagement. I mean, that's exactly what we've been doing for how long we've been podcasting now, an hour and 8 minutes. We've been telling y'all about our dogs and how many people I mean, everyone loves to talk about their animals, and I feel like that is universal, and people that are pet lovers, people that have animals, that's a great s there's that's like an easy go-to place to start a conversation with people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we can always talk about our dogs. So, yeah, and cats, animals, whatever it may be. So, yeah, animals are good for mental health, and I will say it can be stressful being a pet owner, and so I definitely don't want to discount this part. Here's Jamie's PSA. I'm going to get straight on top of my soapbox, and this is probably going to offend some people that are going to listen to this. But I just want to say, first of all, here comes my soapbox. Adopt, don't shop, because there's so many pets in shelters, and if you have your heart set on a specific breed, a poodle or a Doberman or a doodle, even literally, I follow so many breed specific rescues on social media. We found Bang on Pet Finder, and you can like literally filter for the type of dog that you want. I promise you, there is a rescue out there with the dog that you want. Just takes a little bit longer sometimes to find it. The shelters are overflowing with dogs with needs, and they can't get the care they need. So please adopt and don't shop. That's my first soapbox. Second soapbox is animals are expensive.
Old animals are really expensive.
Yes, old animals are really expensive, and so when you get an animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, it is an investment. It's an investment for life, y'all. Sure, they may not need that much care up front because when they're puppies, it's just like humans, right? Like your body works well, you're functioning well. It may not cost a lot of money up front, but you're investing in an animal for life. One day they're going to be old and they're going to need a lot of health care, and it's going to be expensive. And so, I will say, animal ownership is not all rainbows and butterflies. It's not all positive mental health. Sometimes it's really stressful. We've had a lot of stresses, worrying about Wally's health and thinking about the finances that are going to be required for potential surgeries that he's going to need. If his heart gets better, he's going to have his gallbladder removed. We might have to have a toe amputated this year. These are thousands of dollars in surgeries. Not to mention an animal that needs emergency surgery. Boom, that's going to be at least $10,000, maybe $10,000. A trip to the ER. Our dogs. Bing bong. Again, we left her in a hotel one time. Chewed up a remote for the TV. This was our okay. We should have learned that time not to leave Bing alone in a hotel room. We did it one other time, and she chewed up a bathrobe. And so since then, we have learned not to leave her alone out of her crate in a hotel room.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on.
Me,
Fool me twice.
shame on
They're not gonna fool me. Can't fool me again.
Take them again. All right, W. So yeah, this is Bing's her little trauma response, her anxiety response, her attachment response, her anxious attachment. She chewed up a remote control and we couldn't find the batteries. So
So the TV worked because I turned it on and with the remote before Jamie and I left for the day. All right. So we come back and
the TV remote's chewed up, the batteries are missing, and we're like, oh
one
shit.
battery's missing.
Oh shit.
One battery's missing.
I mean, the natural we tore that hotel room apart looking for this battery because then the only other logical conclusion is Bing has swallowed the battery. And so we are in Hood River, Oregon, and
We're supposed to meet her grandparents and the extended family out for a nice dinner on the town.
yes. And so I'm Googling emergency vets, and the closest one is in Portland. And so we drive, I think it was like 45 minutes into Portland, maybe an hour. It was, what was it, $800 each just to have an x-ray.
Yeah.
Emergency vets are expensive. And guess what?
No battery.
No battery. To this day, the mystery of the battery. Now, I'm glad there was no battery in there because then we would have talked. Then now we're talking about a $10,000, $15,000 emergency foreign body surgery. But yeah, it was boom, $800 pop for an emergency exam because we had Bing x-rayed, wasn't there. And like, well, that battery was not in there, so maybe you should also x-ray our other dog.
Oh, we
It
did.
wasn't there. And so it's a mystery. And so, yeah, long story short, if we could have done it all over again, and now we know, I didn't know this at the time, but there's a thing called pet insurance. And, if you're going to get an animal, get pet insurance because I think it's totally worth it. Next animal we get, we'll definitely be getting pet insurance. But yeah, animals are expensive. And so basically what I'm telling you is don't get a fucking animal if you can't afford to keep them healthy. And I'm talking dental appointments. Like dogs and cats need dental care as well. Imagine if you had a tooth that hurt and you had to eat every day and you had to live with that. Like us as humans, like we can't do that. Like that's uncomfortable. And so, it's recommended that animals, just like humans, get their teeth cleaned on a regular basis. And that's expensive. That's about $1,000 a pop. If you need extractions, that's about $500 per tooth. And then not to mention any other health problems that come up. And so, yeah, if you don't have the funds or the time to invest in your animal, don't get one. It broke my heart when I worked at the vet clinic when people would come in and their animals would be suffering and they would have to decline services because they couldn't afford it. And, yeah, I mean, or euthanize a perfectly healthy animal because they couldn't afford to pay for the life-saving treatment, or an animal that had the potential to recover. Now, I will say that clinic I worked at, I can't remember ever euthanizing an actual healthy animal because we had so many bleeding hearts where I worked, and people would end up rescuing them themselves or getting them to a rescue. But yeah, and look, I know that people fall in hard times, and the nonprofit that I volunteer for right now, the Interpup, does provide vet relief assistance for people that can't afford it. And so I do realize that people find themselves in a position, an emergency, a situation where they didn't have the funds and an emergency happens. But this is just my PSA, just as a reminder that your animals deserve the same level of care and attention as any other living being. And it requires a lot of maintenance, and it's only going to get worse as they get older. And so plan for that. And if you're thinking about getting an animal, unless you can save some money or get pet insurance, or you can't put the time investment in it, and you can't see this as a lifetime investment, just don't do it. It's not fair to the animal. PSA complete. Off the soapbox.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Oh my God. Anything else?
No, I think we are coming to an end here, and it's time to do the whole demons have you exercised.
Why are you laughing? What's funny? So, what demons have you exercised through Good Boy or through making this podcast about Good Boy and our animals?
I guess rediscovering the happy times, like that the joy of having pet around. Like you said, it can be stressful. Some things about it is stressful, but there are a lot of benefits to having pets. So acknowledging those benefits, realizing those benefits, and taking advantage of those benefits.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, it's been nice because it's honestly it's been a little bit stressful for us. Like Wally gets up at
Ass crack of
a fucking
dawn.
old man, dude, like
Yeah,
ass crack of
he's ready to
dawn.
go
All
have a
right.
cup of coffee.
He's up with the ass crack at dawn and like it's terribly inconvenient for me because I don't get up early, so I end up going back to sleep on the couch. And, they get medicine 3 times a day, and therefore, sometimes they don't wanna take their medicine, and that's a struggle, and they have multiple vet appointments, and I have to give them so as you can even tell my tone right now, so especially in the last few months, probably since beginning of 2025, I guess, yeah, it's like sometimes, like you said, I forget why it's easy to forget in those moments of resentfulness or feeling overwhelmed or feeling frustrated or even worried about them to just remember the good times and just be present with them. Remember that their lives are short, in the span of our lives. We live an average of like, just say 80 years. Like they live an average of like 12, 13 years, if that even. And they have such a short amount of time with us. This has been a good reminder just to enjoy the time that we have with them and be present and enjoy our time. So there's like there's a horde of demons exercised of like, yeah, like the resentfulness, the frustration, the worry. Yeah, all that feels like has been exercised, at least partially. I don't think any of that stuff's going to totally go away, but I
Yeah,
definitely feel the love and the joy reinvigorated. All right, anything else?
I think that's it. Just have your pet spayed or neutered.
Worry about Barker. Okay. Okay, bye.